over the
Actually,
last...
I never think of being good teacher or being good student. Just I enjoy this subject in that I am unaware that I am student or I am teacher.
You don't think about that?
Yeah, it doesn't come in my mind that I am teacher or a student. In the beginning, speaking the English is tough in the process of learning. When you become the full aware of the language, it becomes spontaneous. Therefore, practicing Kriya Yoga meditation means try to learn more and more until practice becomes automatic process all the time.
I've always been intrigued by what you just said about bliss. Is it quantifiable? Is it static? Or are there degrees of bliss?
Bliss is called the something joy, never-ending joy. Each and every moment this joy is new, never boredom. Suppose that you get pain. Oh, so nice pain. After this pain, how nice ideas we got, very good pain. Then pain disappears. Again you get new idea, how nice, this time is also the best. You have pain or no pain, both you will enjoy the same.
You said not realizing the glory of every situation is known as devil consciousness. Does this truly mean that nothing is bad?
Yeah, really nothing is bad.
Red meat's not bad?
Bad never exists.
Alcohol is not bad?
Nothing is bad. We create alcohol inside. But when you don't enjoy alcohol inside, then we try to drink from outside. This
That's
is the problem.
bad, huh?
Yeah.
Well, this is our third interview. I want to conclude on a note that's totally new. Tell us something you've never shared before with anybody about your spiritual path.
The present moment I never shared. And we are sitting here today. And this is the completely new. And it is new as well as it is most ancient.
So once again, the paradox.
We were present from very beginning of the creation, and we are today, we will remain present up to the end.
The doctor, he just got sicker and sicker and sicker.
Guruji Swami Shree Yogi Satyam believes that the practice of Kriya Yoga is the highest and the fastest way to realize that our true nature is vast and infinite. 2 years after his medical school training in India, Guruji devoted his life to the teachings of Kriya. It says that Sri Satya Sai Baba of Puttaparthi, India, has sent his own devotees to him in Allahabad, India, to learn Kriya. Welcome to Souljourns, and to part 3 of our ongoing interviews with Guruji. This interview was recorded in Euclid, Ohio, USA, in October 2011. Guruji, thank you very much for this opportunity, yet again. And I decided to begin asking you a question today about who you are. I know you're a teacher. I presume you're also a student. As a student, tell us about something new that you're learning this year that we can profit from.
Actually, every year, new style of teaching. How to tell different group the same thing in different style. This is called the every time learning. And this learning becomes wholesome subject if you are tuned from inside to inside.
So you're aware of your own evolving lessons about being a teacher as well as being a student too. And how is your teaching, how is your learning to be a good teacher changed over the last?
Actually, I never think of being good teacher or being good student. Just I enjoy this subject in that I am unaware that I am a student or I am teacher.
You don't think about that?
Yeah, it doesn't come in my mind that I am teacher or a student. Just I enjoy the subject.
And the subject we're talking about is yoga science. And I always think of it as a subject that prepares people for life. Might it be characterized also as a practice that prepares people for death?
No, yogic science means the science of union. When there is a union, there is absence of death. What we call death, this is called ignorance. When we do not know anything, then we call it death. We do not know mathematics, then we are dead in mathematics field. When we do not know what happens when we become invisible, then how we became visible again, what I am present today, I was before 100 years or not, before 500 years or not. When this subject become ignorance, that we call death.
If you think of death as ignorance, as you just said, then how do you describe the passing of life?
Actually, passing of life is a journey. That is a beautiful journey from visible to invisible, then invisible to visible. Just like passing of a seed into tree, then tree into seed. This is just a journey. Passing of the many atom molecules into congregation style, then that congregation works like plant, like animals, like human beings. Then again dispersing the congregation, different styles become invisible. This is just a kind of life journey.
So back to my original question, does the practice of Kriya Yoga prepare you also for the continuation of that journey after our bodies fall away?
Practicing Kriya Yoga meditation means knowing the science of incarnation and departure. Then there is no any ignorance. Then when you know that you become invisible, then again you become visible, then there is no fear of death. Just as in the deep sleep, when you are sleeping, again you are awake, and nobody is having fear of deep sleep. If you deep sleep, you are never awake, then nobody will enter into deep sleep. They will discover some pill how to stop entering into deep sleep. Same thing Kriya Yoga science explains how to make yourself disappear and how to reappear again. This is the science of resurrection, science of incarnation, science of departure.
Guruji, every time I've heard you speak, maybe 20, 25 times, the subject of fear always comes up, and you always talk about how this practice helps you to overcome your fear. Does this mean that you, Guruji, sit here today without any fear?
In fact, I don't have fear. I have one fear, how to explain easily so that everybody should understand. If explanation and service becomes little tough, that fear only I am having little bit.
So you're still evolving as a teacher, so new methods come to you to help you explain more clearly.
Yeah, you can say in your own style, but in my style, I never experienced to be in teacher or a student. Just I enjoy a subject, that's all. I enjoy being in that state.
You talk about this as sometimes an easy concept to grasp, but of course for people like me, it's anything but easy. It can be very difficult, which means the problem isn't necessarily in the communication as much as it might be with the receiver. I don't yet have eyes to see your explanation the way you mean it. And I'm thinking of an example of what you repeat 100 times through every lecture. Head to toes. Focus on head to toes. Head to toes, the omnipresent. Focus on the omnipresent. Head to toes. Tell us more about how that is to help my path by simply being aware of God. I've always been aware of omnipresence. And I see it now with greater clarity that it's no further away than the nose on my face. But how is that helping me to become more aware of the omnipresence role for me as a seeker?
Actually, it needs practice. Many times we enjoy listening, we enjoy remembering when we try to write it like an article. After having this repeated practice, then we get interest of practicing the technique. Moment we start practicing, then we feel everything very easy. But when we are not practicing, we are simply thinking and having only on one level of understanding on the mental plane, not bringing this into the practice, then we find difficult.
Am I on the wrong track when I hear you say that when we practice, we come closer to understanding it? The mere action, the mere idea of practicing head to toe omnipresence, to me, it's almost a metaphor for focusing on a mantra. I know you don't mean this to be a mantra, but does it work in a similar way in that if I'm focusing on head to toes, if I'm focusing on the omnipresence, that it takes my mind off of the other things that I focus on that are less helpful for me?
Focusing on head to toes, we should have this thought when I'm focusing on head to toes, never think that this is limited. Keep on practicing it more and more until you experience infinite. Because head to toes, what I feel at this moment as a limited presence, in reality this is not limited. Keep on concentrating on it, try to feel it more and more until you feel everything within. What Krishna just taught to the Arjuna when Arjuna starts seeing everything within, but he was not able to enjoy that, the whole thing within. He was habitual of certain perception.
You gave a real good explanation of the infinite today, talking about it's the middle path. It's not the left side of the ocean or the right side, it's the deepest part in the middle. The same with the mountain. It's where the mountain is that's tallest, right down the middle, that's the middle way. And that's infinity, that is infinite. But I've never literally seen infinity. How will I recognize it if I'm ever fortunate enough to see it?
Actually, through the practice, suppose that I have to see the sky, I have to open my eyes. In order to see the infinite, we need practice. And practice starts concentration on head to toes. And by repeated practice, the moment we get perception of head and spine, then we find journey becomes very easy.
And when you talk about practice that you recommend for all of us, you're talking about, I'm sure, a daily practice. But in that day, we think of normal modes of meditation being maybe once or twice, 20 minutes a day. But I suspect you're talking about it being much more than just that.
Actually, practice means living the same thought principle all the time. We have to think more and more. Just as we are speaking English, we can speak anytime. Even in dream we speak, in imagination we speak. In the beginning, speaking the English is tough in the process of learning. When you become the full aware of the language, it becomes spontaneous. Therefore, practicing Kriya Yoga meditation means try to learn more and more until practice becomes automatic process all the time.
Let's explore this one extra step, because here we are talking back and forth about the practice of meditation, and yet we're using words to describe it. So in the way I look at it, I can't possibly be meditating now. I'm talking about meditation, but I'm not meditating. If I hear you right, you're saying you can meditate no matter what it is that you're doing throughout the day.
Yeah. When practicing meditation means concentration on truth. If I'm talking, I have to concentrate on truth, what I'm talking. If I'm looking at you, I have to concentrate on truth, what I'm looking. Therefore, meditation does not mean some limited technique. Meditation having only one definition. Concentration on God is meditation. God means ultimate truth. Therefore, in all walks of life, if I am walking with the truth, so that in that walking process we should get more power, knowledge, peace, we should get more unity.
Scott here is going to be a lawyer, other people are going to be the best housewife or house husband they can be, and their day is filled with mundane activities and career activities. How do we maintain that focus on
Yeah, when you practice Kriya Yoga meditation sincerely, then you become an attorney like Gandhiji. Gandhiji is one of the very rare attorney, and how he practiced the law, that is very unique. Because he was practicing Kriya Yoga meditation very deeply. May not be like Paramahansa Yogananda, Lahiri Mahasaya, like Jesus and Krishna, but he attained very good height in the practice. Therefore, whatever he was counseling, he was giving the advice, it becomes a scripture.
My wife and I have read autobiography of a yogi from Paramahamsa Yogananda, like many people on any spiritual path might have. We've read it 2 or 3 times. Just again, at age 64, she pulls the book out of the library. She's reading it yet again. And I'm struck by Gandhi's, the mention there of Gandhi, that Yogananda, if I remember correctly, brought the practice of Kriya Yoga to Gandhi that helped change his...
Yeah, Gandhiji was doing Kriya Yoga from very beginning, but he was not knowing that he was doing Kriya Yoga. The moment he expressed his desire to get initiation, to get the Kriya Yoga meditation technique, Then he just demonstrated everything in 3 hours.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he learned in 3 hours, he demonstrated in 3 hours.
He already had an intense background in it.
Yeah, because he was living the whole philosophy of Kriya Yoga. Then he has to concentrate on head and spine to hold that current up and down. He was able to do it. Therefore, he got operated and he was having no anesthesia. He was able to take the current off from the body in the state of painless.
Wow. I'd forgotten that. Well, there are so many components that seem to go undiscussed. I mean, as an American phrase that I will use with you, Guruji, that you tend to run a very loose ship. You never talk about money. You never talk about donations. You never talk about initiation, at least that I see. I understand you do perhaps in Krishna and Allahabad, but here in good old Cleveland, Ohio, it's just your presence with the meditation and the practice and your explanation of the practice. How important is it to integrate yourself fully as Gandhi came to do? After practicing Kriya Yoga, finally he became initiated into the practice. Is that essential for all of us?
Actually, initiation into Kriya Yoga means not dedicated fully into the Kriya Yoga science, because you have done the fundamental practice and you recognize about the Kriya Yoga. Suppose that I want to do PhD in mathematics, then at least I have to do the graduation in the mathematics. I have to get some knowledge in mathematics. Then I can enter into PhD course. Initiation is called the complete course of the Kriya Yoga meditation. Moment if I am practicing all these fundamental techniques, then I am more aware of the Kriya Yoga, that it is very important. Then I will have full dedication into that. Then I need initiation to have faster effect.
And a quick word for those who are curious, because they've got some book knowledge on Kriya Yoga, but they don't have much experience with it yet. And the question I'm talking about actually came up last night before you arrived. Several of us were discussing how to define how Kriya Yoga has sometimes various different approaches towards the same end. And somebody said it's sort of like Christianity. There's 100 brands of Christian denominations. They all hold basically a similar truth. And I'm aware of various techniques, initiations, approaches to Kriya Yoga, and yours is one of them. Does it require that people analyze and understand the different approaches, or doesn't that matter?
Actually, if something is very high, then everybody having one nature, how to get support, favor of majority. Suppose that Kriya Yoga is accepted in all over the world, the highest and the very easiest, fastest way of solving all problems. Then you will find that in each place Kriya Yoga institution will be there. They may be knowing or not, because this is not demand of the public. But out of the many, only few may be giving the real technique. If they are having real interest, self-realization fellowship is established institution. They should contact it. If they are not able to contact it, it means they are having laziness. Then they can't get it. And suppose that, okay, all right, I contacted self-realization fellowship, but I am not understanding it. Then there will be cosmic some arrangement that you will get someone who will make you to understand that lessons.
And you alluded to this today, which was very intriguing this morning at 8 o'clock when you were talking about that you don't mention, and that effective teachers don't mention all the do's, the proper do's of diet, the proper do's of meditation, because you don't want to, my guess is that you don't want to impose yourself on people, but rather you want people to voluntarily come to what you have to offer.
Yeah, spirituality cannot be imposed. This is the one science. Everybody should start getting it freely, and there will be a time that that person will get it automatically.
You said today that sincere practice of this Kriya Yoga science for 14 days will make you feel better. Why did you choose 14 days? Is that something for people who are beginners who might say, well, I'll try this and give it 100% for 14 days?
Actually, we can say the sun rising is 5 a.m. Why it is 5 a.m., not 7? Because there is some law about the 14. Generally, it is 12 days. But in 12 days, beginning and the last, it becomes like hodgepodge, starting at the end. Therefore, it took 14. Therefore, Ram went to exile 14 years. In our head and spine, there are 7 chakras, and by polarity, they become 14. Everywhere you will find 7 heaven, 7 hell, 14 universes. And this is the way. And when you practice sincerely, you get that. Suppose that why you are having the 5 appendages, 2 legs, 2 arms, and 1 head. Why you are having 5 senses? Why you are having 5 organ of actions? And therefore, this is the way. This is just cosmic creation. We can change it if we want. This is not any fix. We can reduce to 3 days. We can reduce to 3 hours.
Well, since we're talking about this, I'm sure you've been asked this 1,000 times and you've given the answer 2,000 times, if not 10. Would you mind going through what a suggested routine looks like? You're not imposing this upon me, I'm asking it of you. The routine of meditation, how much should a person aspire to who's into this practice for the first time?
Actually, people should understand first the concept of meditation, then answer will come.
Okay.
Meditation means concentration on truth. And what is the truth? That each and every creation or part of creation is potentially vast and infinite. And try to start journey from our own self. Concentrate on each and every part of head to toes. Try to feel head, face. Try to feel any part of the body. It is potentially vast and infinite. Now I am just writing with the right hand. I am concentrating on right hand. It is potentially vast and infinite. I don't feel it, but I keep on concentrating until I get that. Then I am walking. I am concentrating on legs. Then I am concentrating on back. Therefore, on each and every moment, I can select any part of my head to toes. Sometimes I concentrate on all, like this. Then it should become 24 hours of it. This is not anything tough. This is very easy. When we think of meditation, something sitting exclusively and doing some sentences, remembering so many thoughts, or doing some like traditional mantra, then it is tough.
That was very helpful. Routine of proper diet, I assume that means?
When you practice sincerely, automatically diet changes.
It does.
All behavior changes automatically.
Okay.
And when you know the all science of food correctly and you don't practice, you can't change it.
You're always first to say there is nothing that's bad, so I'm going to ask the question what many people think might be bad in that it could impede your spiritual growth. Smoking.
Actually, when you practice sincerely, automatically smoking stops.
Alcohol.
Automatically stops.
Gossiping.
Everything stops.
Addiction to distraction.
All unnatural habits automatically stops. As there is sun rising, darkness is invisible.
So
we need just practice. Whatever we can, we should start practicing. First changing the habit, then practicing becomes very tough.
So let me ask you the least enlightened question on the planet. Where does your pleasure come from?
From inside.
What does it look like?
From how it looks like infinite dimension.
A good pepperoni pizza doesn't make you happy.
Actually, that also makes me happy, but in different style. Yeah. Everything makes me happy in different style. Yeah.
Because you say it's not bad, but you don't impose the ways, but you do suggest that there's a higher path. And that finding that higher path means turning more inside instead of outside.
Yeah, when we go more inside, automatically we move outside automatically. As the root of tree is going down more, stem will go up more.
So there's a living paradox in all of us that needs to be understood. Because we're looking for the midway, the middle path in between the down and the up.
Yeah, it is infinite. Middle path means infinite. I am concentrating on my right arm, I want middle path. What does it mean? Keep on concentrating on it until you find that right arm is presence of everything. Then we got the middle path.
A curious question. I've heard you refer to the omnipresence countless times. I don't recall you referring to the word God. Is there a reason for that?
Omnipresence and God both are the same, because in the name of God, big fight everywhere. Therefore, in the name of omnipresence, there is no fight.
Nobody fights.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
smart. That's very, very good. Let me turn to some of the questions that some of the people here have. And I'm going to go through these pretty quickly because I'd like to get to everybody's. How long, this is a great first question. Guruji, how long will it take one to reach the bliss state, to see the world for what it truly is?
Yeah, it depends that how long it takes to enjoy the practice. We need repeated practice, then how long it will take me to enjoy the practice, more than sleep, more than food, more than any music. It needs repeated practice. Moment you like it the most, then my journey is very high.
One of the paradoxes that seems to raise itself as a question to me is your interest in focusing attention on head to toes, material, physical, atoms, when other teachers remind me to move beyond the physical, because that's all Maya, that's all illusion, and move beyond the body. So I'm trying to understand how getting to a higher state of realization comes through focusing on the body.
You see, head to toes, body is physical, this is the wrong concept.
Okay?
If inside atom there is a consciousness explaining there is no time and space, the same atom has become head to toes. Then within that, when you concentrate, you will find no space, no time. You can experience your presence everywhere. Then how you can say this is physical or this is matter? Understanding this is physical matter is called ignorance.
Mm-hmm.
Head to toes, what you feel, it is one with the God, and God means complete unit of knowledge. Then all the complete unit of knowledge is present in this style, head to toes. This is not matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Intriguing question here. I've always had this, and I heard you indirectly answer it in class. A follower here wants to know, do some people understand or realize Kriya Yoga faster than other people? Is it karmic? Is it something that we're born with, an ability to grasp it faster than the next person?
It depends. Yeah. Suppose that I'm very dedicated to my parents, to my children, to my wife or husband, very dedicated, and I just feel great joy in serving others, then I will understand Kriya Yoga faster. If I see the tree, I feel great love, I am more dedicated to give them proper water and all things, I will learn faster.
And so contrary to that, people have to work harder at it if they don't,
Yeah.
they're not
People
raised.
should work hard in order to show the love, because when you are having real love, then working you get energy.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel tiredness, it means you are not having real love, you are doing it forcefully.
So there's no excuse for working too hard then, or working too long, because if you're feeling love,
Yeah, keep on working, you will feel more power, more knowledge. And if you feel tiredness, it means you don't have love.
wow, that's a big one. This person wants to know, does having money and success give you more freedom to practice meditation, Kriya Yoga?
Money is behind practice.
Mhm.
Always practice is the highest magnet, it brings everything, whatever is needed. Money never gives freedom to anyone till today. Practice gives freedom, and practice, because it is complete unity with the real knowledge, real peace, real joy, then money automatically flows to the place. Nobody has to think about it.
My teacher, Sai Baba, before his Mahasamadhi, used to say that you could never still your mind for more than 9 seconds at a time before thoughts come careening in. And this person wants to know, along those same lines, how do you stop your mind from thinking all the time?
No, I don't stop it. I allow my mind to think all the time God. Why to stop it?
So you actually...
Mind and God both are the one.
But it sounds like you do have to work hard to take the thought of having a new car bumped aside so it can be replaced by a thought of God.
No, if car is essential, it will come. Why to think of car? Think of the God, car will come automatically when it is needed, otherwise there will be burden. If you need plane, it will come, otherwise there will be burden unnecessarily keeping the plane and looking after so much unnecessarily.
And there's a part of, I shouldn't say just Christian, I'm guessing probably many of the world's religions have what I call abundance theology, where if you focus on how good you are, how loving you are, you will get riches, you will get a new car, you will make the promotion that earns you more money. And others will say, that's the wrong focus, just focus on love. And you'll find that life will unfold quite well for you. When
Yeah,
you get
love is called only God. Love is called only knowledge. All are having the same meaning. But because we have different interpretation of the love, different interpretation of the knowledge, therefore we get confused.
Mm-hmm.
For example, H2O means water, water means pani, pani means jal. But when it keep on talking about jal, water, pani and water, we don't experience it until you drink it, until you get it. In fact, love is the same as truth. Truth is the same as God. God is the same as omnipotent, omniscient consciousness. It is the same as immortality. All are having the same meaning.
And how can people feel love of God and their neighbor if they are having trouble feeling love in themselves?
Everybody is holding the God little bit. Without that, they can't exist.
So even if you don't have a very healthy degree of self-love, you can still practice
Still,
love.
yeah, you are practicing it indirectly, directly. Just as the waves are not, if waves are present in the ocean, it may come up or not, but waves are there with the ocean.
Mm-hmm. So you don't worry about, back to this original question, stopping your mind from thinking all the time. That's just not a problem for you.
It is not a problem. I enjoy it. When I see the cloud, I feel very good. I have a lot of thoughts about the cloud. Once my plane was just cheering the clouds, I felt that now we are separated. I said, no, they are not separated. They are having each on the back and they are feeling very nice. And when you see anything, you feel next to joy, next to the creation. There is no any boredom.
What happens if you see a car accident?
Actually, when you see the car accidents, if you are meditating, by looking at it, you will save the person. Then you will feel joy.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the looking, that person is saved.
And if the person dies, is it still useful?
Actually, person dies in that way, then you have different interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
You never have. Then you experience the past and future of that person, and you feel joy. It was a very important thing to be done. What is done?
This person wants to know, how do you balance your energy when you are? I'm combining two questions here. When you are around people who are not healthy, how do you live with that unhealthiness in your space?
Actually, we should not look at any person that is healthy or sick.
Should not make that judgment?
We should concentrate on our own path. What I have to do myself.
What if you're living with somebody like that?
Yes, looking like that, this is fault. We should not do it. If you are looking at someone, then you should look with the good idea. Why to judge that person is bad or good? When I feel my head to toes, concentrate on it and appreciate its presence, I will never feel anybody is bad. Mm-hmm. If somebody, okay, all right, is murdered and killed someone, then you will know everything, what is the karma, what is effect, why it happened. For example, Judas deceived Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And why it happens? It should be. Otherwise, Jesus cannot demonstrate resurrection. Somebody has to come forward. Then after effect, Judas became mad and he died. That also has to be demonstrated. Therefore, you will never find anything is good or bad. You will find the cause of action. Then never feel sorrow about anything.
So it's a matter of how we choose to focus our thoughts rather than what it is the object of our thoughts.
Analyzing in like immature thoughts, then we are reaching to the wrong conclusion. Mm-hmm. And try to concentrate on self and experience the self as truth, what is the reality behind self, then we will never have sorrow any time about anything.
In India, I'm not sure if it's still the case or not, but years ago, as I was told, when a man turned 60, presumably women, it's time for them to set themselves apart and become quiet in their eating practices, their thoughts, their speech, to focus more on this Kriya path that we're talking about here.
No, it was just not correct concept. I'm from India. And the real thing is that if anything you are learning from childhood, you get more. After the 60, difficult to get any new things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything, suppose that you want to become master in the math, you have to learn from very beginning. It is not that after 60 now I have to learn math or science.
When you get to a certain age on the spiritual path, does it serve you continually to read the good books about the spiritual
Actually,
path?
after a certain time, we don't need to read anything.
And what would you do in place of that? Just
Automatically, it comes from inside, the whole things. Reading is called the beginning speed. Suppose that you are driving a car, you need GPS. When you know the way, you don't need any direction.
a common problem I sense in a lot of people, even those on a spiritual path, isn't necessarily boredom, but the fear of boredom. So if Scott was to become as quiet in thought and word and action to pursue his spiritual journey, talk about that fear of boredom where people are so accustomed to being, is it rajasic? Busy, 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 because that's their addiction. How do they overcome
In
that
spirituality,
fear?
we are more busy than the Rajasic and Tamasic.
More busy? Okay,
Yeah,
explain
more
that.
busy. In that, busyness is so intoxicated in joy that we are just in still position.
So you're suggesting that there's a higher gratification, a higher reason
Yeah.
for living
Yeah.
when you seemingly do less and less.
Yeah, tamas is less busy, least busy, rajas is more busy, and sattva is the highest busy. When you go beyond 3, you are having infinite busyness all the time.
And what does that busyness include? What are you busy
Unity,
with?
unity with all,
Okay.
experiencing unity with all,
In other words, sitting
eternal friendship.
and sitting and practicing Kriya Yoga.
Kriya Yoga does not mean only sitting and practice. Kriya Yoga, just say you are breathing all the time, it is not only sitting, now I am going to breathe. In the say you are sleeping, still breathing, you are sitting, still breathing, working, still breathing. A real Kriya Yoga meditation, it works all the time.
I'm glad this thought came drifting into my head because I know it's an issue with a lot of people. They actually find themselves worried about the prospect of inactivity when you say,
Because they don't know the subject.
because they haven't been there yet.
Yeah, they don't know the subject. When you become surgeon, you will have no fear of laparotomy. You can stitch and you can cut. Other person who was cutting vegetables every day, he will have great fear how to dissect the abdomen, how to open the chest.
They've never done that,
Yeah.
even though they use knives and scissors.
Yeah.
How do you find time to practice Kriya Yoga meditation more with responsibility of jobs and family? Again, we touched on this before, but
Yeah, when you practice Kriya Yoga meditation, then we become better husband, better parents, better children, and better the person to work in the office. We will do the best in all walks of life. And the chairperson, suppose that anybody has given a job, if somebody is meditating Kriya Yoga meditation, and that person will be very difficult position when he will retired. Then boss will not think of the retirement of that person.
a student would have to hear your instructions in order to appreciate this next question. So I'm taking license to speak broadly. You put a fair amount of emphasis on putting your concentration on head to toes, and you tell your students to extend their legs and lift their arms and fold them behind their head and lean gently to one side or the other, ostensibly for the purpose of putting your focus on your body. Is it necessary to follow the different techniques, I would call them, precisely correct, or is it more necessary to be reminded of the object of the exercise, focusing on the omnipresent?
Omnipresence means focus on the self until you realize this head to toes what is limited. It is not limited, it is an omnipresence.
So you don't necessarily have to be a perfectionist in performing the technique
In
or
the beginning,
movement.
in the beginning we had to do.
Okay.
After certain times we don't need to do all those things.
What do you do instead?
In the beginning, suppose that there are steps in standing, in sitting, in lying postures, we have to do it. Then there are steps, concentration on breath, concentration on the sound waves inside, concentration on the light inside. There are certain steps we have to do it sincerely few years. And after getting that, then there is time comes, then you have to do differently everything. Suppose that you are learning driving. In the beginning you have to be particular in doing this. When you become expert, you can drive like any style.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And this question follows up on that very same thing. A woman friend writes, you suggest us doing the yoga movements, but you tell us not to do exercise. Why?
Because exercise, what is the general meaning of exercise? They are having exercise associated with the flexibility, with the reduction of the weight, or like physiotherapy. This is the exercise of experiencing ultimate truth.
In other words, you say it'll happen naturally after experiencing ultimate truth.
Yeah.
Don't focus solely on exercise for the sake of exercise.
Yeah. For the exercise name should be expanded. Exercise of experiencing truth. Exercise of focusing, how to focus on self with the true concept. Then exercise telling is no problem. But in day-to-day exercise they do for blood circulation, for flexibility, for reducing the weight, and it doesn't work. It works up to few years, after that nobody can do it.
This is very interesting here. I think none of us escapes challenging times in our life. There's always the occasion of quote-unquote bad news, even though I've heard you say many times, don't ever think of it as being bad. But when somebody has a car accident from your family, there's a divorce, there's a business that goes into bankruptcy, your house is foreclosed upon. What can we do to stay centered during these periods when our minds just get scattered by the critical events happening?
Actually, when you practice Kriya Yoga meditation, then when you get bankruptcy or car accident or some kind of things, in that you get a lot of understanding and knowledge. You never feel bad about anything.
Even during moments of crisis?
Yeah. Then you get so much knowledge in that crisis. Then you will find that crisis is like university. In that you learn a lot.
And if you feel bad during a crisis, even though you try,
then we are not practicing it.
then you're not practicing it.
Yeah.
Don't think of yourself as a failure, just try to practice it
when you
more.
practice it, you feel each and every moment, each and every incident is like a big things in the life.
And this question, follow-up question, would come right on the same heels, I think, of this. How can you apply these teachings when fear comes up, as we talked about earlier?
Then we need fellowship.
Pardon me?
We need fellowship. You should make some friendship with some person.
Like-minded people?
When we are having the stress, try to sit with that person. You start feeling little more peace, then practice with that, then you will be relieved.
A very simple question. What is the purpose of life?
Purpose of life is to realize ultimate truth. To realize what is life. Purpose of life is to realize life. And what is the life is presence of God.
Well, I'm
Therefore,
60.
it is only one aim of everything, but we have different sentences for that.
And why does it take so long for a person like Bob here, or me, I'm 66, why does it take so many years to learn the purpose of life?
Actually, it looks so many years, but it is not. When you observe the time, this is the illusion. This is not reality.
If we don't get it, if we don't arrive at that understanding, are we destined to repeat life until we do? Or
actually, in fact, real answer is different.
Okay.
Suppose that we are speaking here, put the same thing on television. People will see, but that only picture is speaking, we are not there.
That's true.
And that picture can talk that I am reborn, I am again death, and this, this is all illusion, that is nothing but the radiations mixture.
So that's an illusion.
That is when we talk about this and that, this is something different. There is no 60 years, there is no 50 years, there is no 10 years, there is no 100 years. Therefore, that is only 1 year which is called the year of bliss. You cannot imagine how joy and peace we get in practice. The moment you get into that, then everything just works differently. Suppose that you are a mathematician. You will think everything in the language of math. Then you cannot answer the question in the language of history or geography. Therefore, this question of the age, question of the color, question of the race, question of nationality, this is something like just as having no any alphabet in this science.
I've always been intrigued by what you just said about bliss. is it quantifiable? Is it static? Or are there degrees of bliss?
Bliss is called the something joy, never-ending joy. Each and every moment this joy is new, never boredom. Suppose that you get pain. Oh, so nice pain. After this pain, how nice ideas we got, very good pain. Then pain disappears. Again you get new idea, how nice, this time is also the best. You have pain or no pain, both you will enjoy the same.
So you're really asking us to look at our lives in a radically different way.
Yeah.
Do away permanently with the old yardsticks that measured our progress, our comparison to other people's growth.
Correct. Change your parameter of measurement.
And one of the ways you talked about that this morning here at Cleveland State University, thanks to Scott, finding us this space for free, you said not realizing the glory of every situation is known as devil consciousness. Does this truly mean that nothing is bad?
Yeah, really nothing is bad.
Red meat's not bad?
Bad never exists.
Alcohol is not bad?
Nothing is bad.
We
create alcohol inside. But when you don't enjoy alcohol inside, then we try to drink from outside. This
That's
is the problem.
where it's bad, huh?
Yeah.
That's the one exception to bad.
No, somebody drinking outside also, then he realizes outside drinking is not good, then he gets one knowledge what is not good.
Mm-hmm.
Because each and every incident increases knowledge.
Well, this is our third interview. I want to conclude on a note that's totally new. Tell us something you've never shared before with anybody about your spiritual path.
The present moment I never shared. And we are sitting here today. And this is the completely new. And it is new as well as it is most ancient.
So once again, the paradox.
We were present from very beginning of the creation, and we are today, we will remain present up to the end.
I cheated.
This is the eternal truth.
I have one last question about eternal truth. And there is another interesting person, Swami Dayamitra. He's an advanced man for the hugging saint, Amma. And he was here, and I asked him, if the goal of our life is to reach, and I'm asking you the same question, union with the One, where our consciousness becomes that of the One consciousness, don't you have any regrets of losing your personal earthbound consciousness of your multitude of friends and interesting experiences? Don't you have any sadness that that will all be revealed as non-existent as you become one with the one existence, the one consciousness?
This is something like that if we like mangoes.
If you like mangoes?
Suppose that we like mangoes, right? Then we are having one mango. Then we are going to get 100 mangoes. Then we are going to regret that before I was holding one mango with my both hands nicely. Now we are having the 100 mangoes. Then we are regretting now I am not able to hold the one because I am holding 100.
But
therefore, in this there is no regret. This is the different lifestyle in which there is no any space for regret or tension or worries or fear or anything.
But personal consciousness to me is sort of similar to personal memory. And as Bob merges into the One and he loses his individual consciousness, he also loses his individual memory.
No, he never loses anything. He gets more.
You get more.
I am having the purse in my pocket. I get your purse also. I am having the same, and I added one more. I am not losing anything.
That's great, and I know it's going to be a relief to some people who worry about those things. That they want to take their love with them, their personal recollection of their love from this earthly bound bus stop that we're all at. I feel the inner urge to ask you for a closing comment or blessing.
Actually, in fact, we have to honor each and every person as a great representative of God in unique style. Try to appreciate, try to feel each and every presence as the most important thing in the life. When we hold this, we will have no problem of any kind. anywhere, any moment.
Guruji, thank you very much.
Okay.
Until next time.
That your presence is the presence of your mom and dad both. When you concentrate on yourself and make yourself very peaceful, joyful, and having the each and every moment.
The doctor, he just got sicker and sicker and sicker. And I couldn't stop it, even though I knew if he could just eat vegetables or something. And
Most important thing, then you are honoring your mom and dad both. And the best.
Back to the question that Ted had asked you about becoming part of the oneness and feeling that you lose the individuality. That I like your mango thing, but can you tell us even more on that?
Yeah, purse thing was better. I'm having purse in my pocket.
Purse is better, yeah.
Purse in my pocket. And I'm adding your purse into my purse, then I'm not losing my purse, I'm getting double. We don't lose anything. When you merge with someone, you increase yourself. Because we are not able to merge it, therefore we are having psychic fear. This is not real fear.